There are moments when doing the right thing doesn't feel right at all. When loyalty pulls you one way and truth pulls you another. Best Kind, the fourth episode of Hudson and Rex Season 8, begins right at that crossroads where friendship, trust, and justice collide. In this story, we see Detective Charlie Hudson face a moral choice that challenges everything he stands for. While Rex, his loyal partner, reminds him, sometimes the heart knows more than the rules ever could. The episode isn't just about solving a case. It's about understanding what it means to be the best kind of person when the world around you isn't simple anymore. The episode opens on a quiet morning in St. John's, the streets still damp from the night rain, the fog hanging over the harbor like a secret waiting to be told. A local community leader, someone well respected and loved, is found dead in his office under strange circumstances. At first glance, it looks like an accident, maybe a heart attack, maybe exhaustion from long hours. But Hudson knows better. He's seen too much to believe in easy answers. The unease in his eyes says it all. Something doesn't add up. Rex is the first to sense it. As the team enters the office, Rex's instincts kick in: a low growl, a pause by the desk, a nose pressed to the floor. There's something off here. The bond between Hudson and Rex has always been more than just man and dog. It's intuition meeting reason, emotion meeting logic. And in this case, Rex's quiet signals lead Hudson to spot a small clue, a trace of powder on the victim's desk. Something out of place in the tidy room. That's when the mystery begins. Detective Sarah Trong, a forensic expert, confirms Hudson's suspicion. This wasn't natural. The man was poisoned, and whoever did it knew exactly what they were doing. What makes it worse is that the poison came from a lab that works closely with the community organization the victim ran. It's not just a murder, it's betrayal from the inside. The rest of the major crimes unit kicks into gear. Jesse, the tech wizard, starts digging through security footage. Joe Donovan handles the press, keeping the public calm while Hudson follows the quiet trail of evidence. Each step brings him closer to the truth, but also closer to something personal. Because this victim wasn't just another name in a file. He was someone Hudson once knew. Someone who helped him early in his career, and he wasn't sure what kind of detective he wanted to be. As the investigation deepens, Hudson faces the ghosts of his past. Flashbacks, brief but telling, show us a younger Charlie, learning from the same man who now lies dead. Back then, the lesson was simple. Always do the right thing, even when it hurts. But now, standing over his mentor's crime scene, Hudson can't help but question what that really means. Doing the right thing might expose someone he cares about. It might even destroy reputations. Yet, as always, Rex's loyalty keeps him grounded. The look in Rex's eyes seems to say, "We find the truth." No matter what, by the end of the first act, the clues start to weave a pattern. Financial records, deleted emails, a suspicious donation, all pointing towards someone inside the organization. But before Hudson can confront them, another shock hits. A second victim, linked to the same network. This isn't a one-time act of rage. It's part of a larger plan. The tension rises, and so does Hudson's doubt. Is he chasing justice? Or trying to protect the memory of someone who might not have been so pure after all? As the music builds, and the camera closes in on Hudson's thoughtful expression, Rex nudges his partner gently. The message is clear. Keep going. The truth is out there. And sometimes, being the best kind means facing the worst truths. On. Sometimes the hardest part of solving a case isn't finding the evidence, it's facing what that evidence means. Best Kind isn't just a story about crime. It's a story about choices. Every decision in this episode carries weight, and every glance between characters hides a quiet storm. It asks one simple question: what does it truly mean to be the best kind of person? As the investigation unfolds, we see how loyalty becomes both a strength and a weakness. Hudson's loyalty to his late mentor clouds his judgment. He wants to believe the man he once admired couldn't have been involved in anything corrupt. But the facts begin to whisper a different truth: small irregularities, hidden payments, and a growing list of lies. The camera doesn't need to say much. The silence in Hudson's eyes does the talking. There's a scene midway through the episode that captures this perfectly. Hudson stands at the victim's desk, staring at an old photo of them together, smiling, hopeful, unaware of what the future would bring. Rex sits quietly beside him, watching, sensing the conflict in his partner. The lighting is soft, the colors muted. You can almost feel the cold weight of regret in the room. And in that stillness, Hudson whispers, "You taught me to do the right thing. So why does it hurt so much to follow your lesson?" That line defines the entire episode. It's about how doing good isn't always clean, and being kind doesn't always mean being gentle. Sometimes it means making choices that break your heart. The title Best Kind reflects not only Rex, the loyal, brave companion who follows his instincts, but also the kind of integrity Hudson is struggling to hold on to when everything around him feels uncertain. Sarah, ever the voice of reason, becomes the emotional anchor in this storm. She reminds Hudson that doing the right thing for the wrong reasons is still wrong, and those words hit hard. Her logic and empathy form the balance Hudson needs to move forward. Through her perspective, the episode paints a contrast between emotion and reason, between human weakness and moral strength. Meanwhile, Rex's role feels almost symbolic. He represents purity in a world full of gray. No politics, no bias, no hidden agenda, just instinct and loyalty. His scenes with Hudson are quiet but powerful. When Hudson starts to doubt himself, Rex's unwavering trust pulls him back. It's a reminder that being the best kind doesn't mean being perfect. It means being honest, faithful, and courageous when it matters most, visually. The directors use light and shadow to reflect this inner battle. The investigation scenes are drenched in cold tones, grays and blues, while the flashbacks are warm. It's almost golden, like memories that lie to comfort us. The shift between these palettes makes the audience feel Hudson's conflict. You're never told what he's feeling, you're shown. That's what makes the episode resonate by the end of this section. The moral heart of the story becomes clear. Best Kind is about the courage to see truth without turning away. It's about the moment when doing your duty and following your heart point in opposite directions. And you must decide which path defines who you really are, in Hudson and Rex. That choice doesn't just belong to one man. It's shared by the whole team. And through it all, Rex stands as the quiet constant, reminding us that in a world of shifting loyalties and fading trust, the purest bond is the one that doesn't need words. There's a saying that every case changes a detective just a little. But in Best Kind, we see it change Hudson in ways that cut deeper than before. This isn't just another case to him. It's a mirror held up to his soul. And through that mirror, we see both the cracks and the courage that make him who he is. From the very beginning of the episode, Hudson feels different. His usual confidence, calm, sharp, in control, seems layered with hesitation. When he talks to witnesses, his tone is softer. When he looks at evidence, his gaze lingers too long. You can sense that he's not just chasing a killer. He's wrestling with his own sense of right and wrong. And through every silent pause, Rex is there, steady, watchful, understanding without a word spoken. One of the most powerful scenes comes halfway through the episode. Hudson and Rex visit the victim's family. The widow, a woman in her late 50s, opens the door with eyes that already know the truth. She doesn't ask questions. She just looks at Hudson and says, "You'll find who did this, won't you?" It's not a demand. It's a plea. Hudson nods, but you can tell in that moment the weight of her trust feels heavier than his badge. As he turns away, Rex looks up at her, giving a quiet, comforting whine, the kind of empathy only a dog can show. No words, no promises, just presence. That's Rex's strength. Silent loyalty. Sarah's character also gets her moment to shine. There's a scene in the lab where she and Hudson argue not out of anger, but out of concern. She tells him, "You're not seeing clearly, Charlie. You're trying to protect a ghost." It's a tough love moment, but one that hits hard. Sarah's honesty forces Hudson to look at the case not as a friend or a student, but as a detective. It's one of those moments where truth feels like betrayal, and yet it's the very thing that brings him clarity later. Meanwhile, Jesse brings in a touch of warmth to the heaviness. His light humor and quiet observations balance the tension. When he discovers a key digital clue, an encrypted message that turns the case upside down, He doesn't gloat. Instead, he quietly says, "Guest loyalty can look a lot like secrecy sometimes. It's a small line, but it lands with meaning." Every member of the team is reflecting on what it means to trust someone and what it costs when that trust is broken. But the heartbeat of this episode, as always, is the bond. Between Hudson and Rex, there's a short, wordless scene after a tense chase. Hudson sits alone by the water, the night sky reflecting on the waves. He's tired, not just physically, but emotionally drained. It's a reminder that sometimes comfort doesn't come from answers. It comes from being understood. This quiet companionship is what gives the episode its emotional strength. Hudson doesn't need to say he's struggling. Rex already knows. Their bond is built on years of shared danger, shared loss, and shared victories. Rex represents loyalty in its purest form, not blind obedience, but unwavering faith. He stays when Hudson questions himself. He listens when no one else can reach him. And that connection is what ultimately gives Hudson the strength to see the truth, even when it hurts. By the end of this act, we see a subtle shift in Hudson. His shoulders straighten, his eyes sharpen again. The detective in him is back, but this time tempered by pain and perspective. He's no longer just solving a case, seeking redemption for himself, for his mentor, for the ideals he once believed were unbreakable. In Best Kind, every character gets tested by loyalty, by loss, by truth. But Hudson and Rex remind us that real strength isn't about never doubting. It's about facing the doubt and walking through it together. One man, one dog, one unspoken promise to keep going. No matter how heavy the truth becomes, there are episodes you watch, and then there are episodes you feel best. Kind belongs to the second kind. From the very first frame, the tone is unmistakable. This isn't just a crime story. It's a quiet study of conscience told through color, light, and silence. Every shot in this episode feels intentional, like a visual echo of Hudson's inner struggle. The cinematography leans into contrast. The cold blues of the investigation scenes feel heavy, almost metallic, wrapping the viewer in the same emotional chill that Hudson carries. But when the story drifts into flashbacks, moments of mentorship, laughter, or warmth, the world changes. The palette turns soft, tinted with golds and deep ambers, as if time itself remembers those memories more kindly than they deserve. This shift in lighting isn't just for beauty. It's a visual metaphor, the warmth of the past versus the weight of the present. The direction by Alan Hocko, if we assume he helmed or oversaw the episode, feels deeply personal. The camera often lingers a second longer than expected on Hudson's face, on Rex's eyes, on the empty chair in the victim's office. It's in those pauses that the story breathes. The silence between lines becomes louder than dialogue. The tension isn't built by shouting or chaos, but by quiet, the kind of silence that says, everything. One of the standout sequences is the nighttime chase through the foggy docks. It's not shot like a typical action scene. There's no flashy editing, no fast cuts. Instead, it's patient, suspenseful, almost poetic. The sound design here deserves praise. Rex's paws splashing through puddles. The distant hum of a ship engine, Hudson's breathing mixing with the wind. You don't just watch the chase, you feel it. It's tactile, immersive, and filled with restrained adrenaline. Then there's the score. Subtle, emotional, and hauntingly beautiful. Composer Alan Reed or the series music team uses minimal instruments, piano, soft strings, and an occasional low hum to match the emotional rhythm of each scene. During tense moments, the music doesn't shout, it whispers. And during heartbreak, it doesn't swell, it sighs. That restraint makes every note more meaningful. The editing is equally refined. Instead of quick scene changes, the episode allows transitions to linger, giving the audience time to absorb emotion. A close-up of Hudson's badge dissolves into the reflection of the harbor lights. Rex's steady gaze cuts to the flickering shadows on the floor. Each transition feels like a heartbeat, slow, deliberate, human. It's the kind of storytelling that respects the viewer's emotional intelligence. St. John's itself feels like a silent character. The mist, the cobblestone streets, the muted sunlight, They all frame the emotional isolation of the story. The setting doesn't just hold the mystery, it mirrors it. The city feels alive, yet distant, loyal, yet unforgiving, just like the themes at the heart of Best Kind. There's also a quiet brilliance in how the director uses perspective. Often Rex's viewpoint becomes the lens. Shots from his low angle remind us how different the world looks when loyalty is your only compass. You see people's feet, their hesitation, their body language, the subtle things humans miss. It's not just clever camera work, it's storytelling through instinct. By the final act, all these visual and auditory elements merge into something almost poetic. Hudson walking into the sunrise, Rex beside him, the colors warming slightly as truth comes to light. No words, no need. The camera drifts away slowly, as if giving them privacy to heal. The ending doesn't need to explain itself. Trust the silence to speak. Best Kind proves that Hudson and Rex isn't just a procedural show. It's a cinematic experience in miniature form. Every frame, every sound, every shadow serves a purpose. Together, they turn a simple police story into a reflection on loyalty, truth, and the quiet beauty of doing what's right. Even when it hurts, by the time the final act unfolds, the fog that hung over the harbor has lifted, not just in the city, but in Hudson's mind too. The truth, long hidden beneath layers of loyalty and regret, finally comes into focus. The killer's motive isn't greed or hate, but something far quieter, the kind of betrayal that comes wrapped in good intentions, and that's what makes it sting even more. Hudson stands in the interrogation room, facing the person behind it all. There's no anger in his eyes, only sorrow. Doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. The weight of truth does the talking for him. He wanted to protect his legacy, he says softly. But all you did was destroy it. The camera holds on his face, not to show judgment, but heartbreak. This isn't victory, it's understanding. Justice this time feels heavy. When the case closes, there's no celebration at the station. No handshakes or congratulations, just quiet. Kind of silence that follows when everyone knows something valuable has been lost. Not just a life, but a sense of innocence. Hudson walks through the corridor, passing the photo wall of solved cases. His reflection flickers over them. Dozens of victories behind him, yet none that feel like this. Rex follows closely, his paws echoing on the floor, the sound almost rhythmic, like a heartbeat keeping Hudson grounded. He stops at the last photo of his mentor, framed on the board. The light catches the glass, and for a moment Hudson's face overlaps with it. Two men, one gone, one changed. The symbolism is subtle, but powerful. The past and present meet, and neither is untouched. There's a beautifully quiet scene near the end. Hudson drives out to the cliffs at dusk, the sky painted in shades of orange and gray. He steps out of the car, the wind tugging at his coat. Rex runs ahead, stopping by the edge, looking out over the sea. Hudson joins him, standing still, saying nothing. You can tell this isn't about grief anymore. It's about release. The camera pulls back slowly, showing two silhouettes against the fading light. The case is closed, but the lesson remains open. Then comes the moment that defines Best Kind. Hudson kneels beside Rex and whispers, "You know, maybe being the best kind doesn't mean being perfect. Maybe it just means trying even when it hurts." Rex leans his head gently into Hudson's shoulder, as if to say he understands. It's a moment so genuine, it doesn't need music, just the sound of waves. And the soft breath of companionship. The ending fades with warmth, not happiness, but peace. The score returns softly, echoing the same melody that opened the episode, but slower, more reflective. The camera drifts upward, showing the endless horizon. It's the visual language of closure, not finality, but acceptance. The truth has come out, the wound remains, but the healing has begun. What makes Best Kind unforgettable isn't the mystery, or even the twist. It's the emotion that lingers after the credits roll. It's the way the story reminds us that justice and kindness aren't opposites, but choices we make every day. And in a world that often rewards being right more than being good, This episode quietly argues the opposite as the screen fades. Two black. One final image remains. Rex sitting beside Hudson's desk. His gaze steady, loyal, and full of unspoken comfort. Because at its heart, Hudson and Rex has never been just about solving crimes. It's about two partners, one human, one canine, learning again and again that doing the right thing isn't easy. But it's always worth it. Best Kind doesn't end with applause. It ends with silence. The kind that feels honest. The kind that lets you breathe and think. And remember what it means to be the best version of yourself. Some stories end with justice, others end with peace. But Best Kind ends with something rare or understanding. It's the kind of episode that doesn't shout its message. It lets it sink in, slow and steady, like the tide rolling against the shore. When the credits start to fade, you realize this isn't just another case solved. It's a quiet meditation on what makes Hudson and Rex who they are, and what keeps them going in a world that doesn't always reward doing the right thing. Throughout the series, we've seen Hudson chase truth like a man running from his own ghosts. But in this episode, he doesn't run, he faces them. And maybe that's why Best Kind feels different. It's not about finding out who did it, it's about what it takes to live with it afterward. Rex, as always, remains the anchor, the reminder that loyalty doesn't need explanation. In a single glance, he says what no dialogue ever could.